last onto the podcast, I just want to go ahead and bring up the last sponsorship, which is Grubhub. I've used Grubhub for now a couple weeks, and anytime I need to eat, anytime I need to use their service to go out and eat anywhere, I rely on Grubhub. Grubhub is amazing, and they do a great job, and their service is wonderful. It's just like DoorDash or Instacart or Uber Eats. They do quite the same, and they do offer plenty of special promotions, which I think Grubhub is wonderful. The app works really well. About most of the time, I'm always on my desktop, so I always order Grubhub through the desktop or by mobile web, which is I used to use it on my browser on Safari or on Brave with the iPhone, which to me that is perfect, and I like both of these options right there too. So guys, if you're need to eat at some point or need to use a service that can get your food back and forth, Grubhub will be the place to be. So if that said, go ahead and check out the affiliate link down below over on Grubhub and use their service whenever you need any food or if you're out on a lunch break. Grubhub is there for you. So what are you waiting for? Check out Grubhub. Now let's get started with today's episode. Let's begin. All right. So, goodness gracious. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming in and checking out the podcast, the Leon LeGray podcast, once again. So, this time I'm going to be doing an audio version of this podcast alone, since as I'm recording in the middle of the night here on a Tuesday, November 23rd. And I have to say, so many things has been happening for the last couple of days, but it's not just a couple of days, of course. But I've just been going through different things back and forth, especially with house moving. And then from that point, I was pretty much not just cleaning up the house, of course, but over the weekend. As a lot you may not know, or some that may know that follows me on Twitter over at leonlegray.com, or excuse me, or over at leonlegray, excuse me. But however, I went ahead and made the upgrade to from Windows 10 to Windows 11. I have to say, Windows 11, I criticized that at first because I didn't think it was going to have the privacy functionality or what what it came to be. Of course, well, and for me, what I can tell you is I've changed my mind, and clearly there's something that up to me, and so a friend of mine from the UK, awesome friend, and I've known him for about at least about 3 years now. I'd say about almost 4 years, believe it or not, since we've communicated back and forth on the internet. So I will definitely link his Twitter account. He does a lot of photography if you guys are interested. So, anyways, he does know a bit about computers, and he himself is a content creator. So he does a lot of photography up on Instagram. He posts a lot over there too, and currently he's now doing a lot of postings on NFTs, which for me I haven't even gotten around to going through what NFTs are, what it is, stuff like that too. And so NFTs has pretty much piqued my interest, I guess you could say. and I have to say, with all the things that he explained to me about Windows 11, and what really did change my mind is the fact that Windows, for me, I thought they were this time around they were trying to go for something different, but less something less likely new that they were going to add. But they've done a lot of things that they add right there that pretty much changed my mind, and I am gonna go through a basically what can I put it this way? Something like pretty much a review, like a uh all in all review on the operating system, what I think about it too. And Windows 11 has just been around for now about over a month now, back in October 4th. So for those guys that don't know about Windows 11, it is very awesome. It is very awesome. But I will not get into Windows 10 or my pretty much my journey between 10 to 11 on this podcast, which I know by the next episode I'll talk more in depth about it too, which I really would love to talk about too. But honestly, the reason I'm not going to talk about it today is I haven't even gone further enough into doing a lot of research on it too, because over the past 2 days, over the weekend, it's just been busy. In fact, having to install a new hard drive, or I would say M.2 SSD that hard drive or solid state drive, which is pretty much an internal hard drive on slapped onto your motherboard, which is great, and it also makes the boot time much faster than a mechanical hard drive, which I loved. Which the product I actually went and got over at Newegg over the weekend was a FireCuda 1 terabyte by Seagate, and I love it. I really like it though. And it took me a while to install it, and I think actually it's kind of funny to tell the story. But what was so funny, or I shouldn't say funny, but what made me almost get a panic attack was the fact that I almost lost the freaking tiny screw for the M.2 SSD, which I was just looking around like a madman. But uh, even though the screw was magnetic, but it didn't hold up in the air for such a long time. So that right there, I kind of learned something from the belt. Any belt is that if you have a little screw, a tiny screw, make sure not to lose it. So I've almost lost it though, and I have to say I currently have that drive as as the main drive now, and I'm very happy with it. So I will definitely go over the SSD more on a next episode and do that from here too, because I know that it's gonna be a lot of explaining, a lot of talking to do here. But I know in the meantime, I'm at this point, I'm gonna go and talk about further on Facebook's metaverse. I think this is going to be an episode that I want to talk about, and something I want to put my thoughts and my opinions about Facebook metaverse. Since now I know that it is pretty much weeks gone by since I haven't talked about anything throughout the podcast, but in good reason, I've had to drop the podcast because due to personal reasons, as all of you already know about the move coming up for next year. And for some of you guys don't know, I am moving to Florida next year, which there's a good excuse or good reason why I have to stop. I had to stop what I was doing and pretty much focus on personal things right there too. Because I know right after episode 169, when I had the interview with Alex Bachman, I remember there was a family moment that I had to go ahead and make a flight up to New Jersey because due to a huge family feud, and it was something I had to let go of do any recordings because of this extremely nasty family feud, which it's something I'm not going to go through it, but I would say that it was quite stressful since last month, and my God, my life was much stressful, and I had definitely had to check my my blood pressure and had to check myself out because of it too. Because honestly, it was not the greatest moment of my life having to go through that, and I was only there up in New Jersey for about Wednesday through Friday since last month. Very honestly though, and I will say that this was not easy having to make this trip because due to my nasty uncle. But for me, I am happy to be back and doing podcast recordings, which I'm very happy about, everybody. And we're going to go ahead and talk about technology because I know a lot of things has been flying on, and without me, I know it's just this podcast will stay stale if I don't do any recordings. So here on episode 170 on the Leon LeGray podcast, we're going to talk about Facebook, from Facebook to Meta. What is this rebranding all about? And something that we're going to go much more. And later on the episode, I'm going to go through a surprise that I'm going to be talking on today's episode, which is very much a big surprise that you do not want to miss. So let's go ahead and kick it. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Now, moving on with the introduction, and forgive me with the long introduction from the very beginning, but however, we're going to move on to our main story and just kick it off to it too for today's episode. So, anyways, this is your boy, Leon LeGray, here on episode 170, and I can't believe we reached 170, and hallelujah, have we gone this far. Wow. But anyways, guys, if you notice that the voice is kind of bassy, please forgive me too. And by the way, there's no special effects, nothing of that matter too. I don't know why the voice is very bassy, so you gotta forgive me. And there's no editing to fix that. So unfortunately, no. So if that turns you off, I'm very sorry. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and move on to our very first story of this episode, which is from Facebook to Meta. And this is news. This is first coming from the AS USA. And here in this headline here, which says Meta. Why is Facebook changing its name, and what does Metaverse mean? and I heard this a few weeks ago while in my small break when I wasn't around. I heard about it when I was getting some things done, and I heard about the changes, which I thought was just kind of a strange way that they're going to this approach with Meta. And I've noticed something when they did this change, not too long ago, and that was back about over a month ago. Yeah, I remember, if I could recall, and why it is changing its name. So in this article, it says Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced today during a virtual conference that his company would be changing its name to Meta. Zuckerberg spoke to the name change, saying that it was time for the company to adopt a new company brand to encompass everything that we do, to reflect who we are and what we hope to build. So, and that's what he says here. The name change comes as Facebook, the parent company of Instagram and WhatsApp, has come under scrutiny for how its platforms harm of mental health of users and further perpetrate online hate. Over the years, Facebook has gone on to acquire these other social media applications, and currently more than a third of the global population uses a Facebook-owned platform on a daily basis. So if you're not like on Instagram or WhatsApp, those are the two that they have currently at the moment. And here it says here, which is Meta's Twitter. Funny enough, Meta's Twitter, which they have a blue check mark, which are verified, obviously, for new company they have to. Which it says right here, and it says announcing Meta, The Facebook company's new name, Meta, is helping to build the metaverse, a place where we'll play and connect in 3D. Welcome to the new chapter of social connection. And so there it is right there too. And boy, so and whenever I hear about this story right here too, and this is one of my things I hear about metaverse. When I first heard about the metaverse for the first time, well, there may be some good out of metaverse or those metaverses, but I would want to point out that way I hear and see about this too is that for some reason it almost reminds me of Ready Player One, and and the way that people are so stuck into their virtual worlds, and not to just put it this way, but man, I don't know why. It's just what I feel that for some reason it just feels a little bit like Player One. While it can be fun to get into a virtual world and stuff like that too, but my thing about with social networks and connections is that I find that there's always going to be that hook way social media and way it's hooking people into the metaverse. It's going to be unique, but I also find it as a bad thing as well, because I look at it right there too is that with Meta, it's going to be just something that they're going to want people to be hooked into and get into the metaverse, which I think it's going to be something that's going to be all right. I don't know how many people are going to embrace virtual 3D experience. And the scary part about it is that what happens if you stay on for over a day on virtual network and you end up losing sight of reality, which I find metaverse to be all right. But I don't think it's going to be the best idea to come. And for me, I'll talk about the idea that's been around for now a couple of years, which I will talk about at the end of the video here. And the way I can put it this way is that you can build your own character like 3D animation realistically, and anything like that as well too. Which there's something to it that people can use it for a reason. Paraplegics that cannot walk, which I think it's kind of interesting, but it always going to rely on the internet, obviously, where if you're going to connect with other people from one room, from one part of the world to the next, I think there are some certain interesting aspects that it'll do. But look at it this way as well, that that for me, having all this interconnectivity and having to get stuck in the virtual world, it'll be very much embracing the fact that you can just do whatever you want as a human avatar, going in the virtual world and going and embracing things in first person. And then, however, that's where I find that if you're stuck on it all the time, that's where I find that it will lose you, especially. And then, on the other hand, what happens if you just decided, well, I'm not going to go back to the real world or reality? That's going to be another thing I felt that Facebook will end up doing harm. Where I don't even remember much about Ready Player One, but the movie itself, it was visually amazing. But I definitely can see that how how much people stood or stayed into their virtual worlds, which I thought it was like, wow, I cannot believe how many people in that film were just stuck using their headsets, and I couldn't believe that. Well, I really couldn't. So it's like I said, metaverse is an interesting concept because now we're embracing all this metaverse NFTs, different things that we're definitely seen in the forerun, especially with everything that has to do with the metaverse, which is a very new concept now. But we have definitely talked about something that about over a decade ago about going through virtual worlds, and while it may have been just a fantasy, probably like a decade ago, and we end up talking about it to our friends. It's like, oh man, what happens if we go into this virtual world and how exciting this may be and stuff like that too. It's like that show I watched when I was a kid, like I think Digimon, where you go to this virtual world and you get trapped there and you fight monsters and stuff like that. But man, this is almost the it's similar. It's almost similar to that concept, but man, how crazy and amazing it would be too. But at the same rate, I felt that if you get stuck there 24/7, I think it's definitely does a lot of damage to you as a human and to you having to use the metaverse. And to me, that's where I find the stance is that while at that frame, at that same frame and same perspective, I think it's great that we'll see that. And that's where I can say, hey, that's a cool thing about the metaverse right there too, where you can just be doing things with your and interacting with it pretty much via virtually in first person and do things together like that too, which I think it does sound amazing, for sure. But I've always wondered how it will affect a lot of people when being in use. And especially for me, the meta, what you call it, meta is part of Facebook. You know that this may not go well. I just think it will not go well for the long run. And to speak, having like tons of social damages, especially. And with a lot of the issues, Facebook or also AKA Meta, of course, it's just not going to happen overnight because you look at it this way. Facebook can do that, and I'm sure that it will kind of go successfully well with people that are willing to embrace something like this too. Not all, but I think there's going to be a good portion of people that are going to look into getting into metaverse, all that. I think there are some good aspects of metaverses and stuff like that. But for me, probably I would never enter the metaverse. I would never enter that too, because I think that will end up doing a lot of social damage and stuff like that too. Having to go through it too. Like, sure, if I want to go and play a video game through a VR headset, I think that's fine. I think that part of me says, okay, that's good. I think I would embrace that part of VR, but not or not a, what did they call it? A VX headset, which I think that's like what they're calling it, or an XR headset. It's not augmented reality. It's a very different term that they're using. But regardless, that's where for me, I can experience VR on gaming headsets, which I'm okay with doing that too. That is perfectly fine. But then when it comes to it too, you don't know how you'll get in touch with people because and stuff like that too. Because while I think there are some use cases that may be quite interesting, but I don't think it's something that I myself will embrace it like overnight. And I don't think metaverse is something that it will be embraced overnight to a lot of people for sure. So yeah, so there's that. But I think it's just an interesting concept that they brought in on the metaverse, but that of course it's not for me. And as someone that have left Facebook around 2013, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be for me. And I know a lot of people are going to feel the same way where I was like, maybe it's just not for me yet. Yeah. And I have to say that, hey, that's a good reason that maybe a lot of people will now embrace it right there too. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people are going to end up discovering it. Though I haven't checked up on what a lot of people are thinking about, what people's experience are like about the metaverse. Though it is an amazing thing, and I even the fact that a few weeks ago I did check up the trailer on Meta. While it looked fun, it looked like something like that they were doing, but I don't know. I think the whole thing is way too freaky to do that too. Because honestly, there's some, even though they're rebranding it as Meta, I'm sure that's fine, but the Facebook name will still linger in to that point too. So it's, so for me, there's always going to have a fingerprints of Facebook. So even if they rebrand it like from Facebook to Meta, I don't think that's going to change all that much. Which for me, you still have the guy running the company, same guy, Mark Zuckerberg, running Facebook slash Meta to that point too. But there's always going to be that same Facebook name that there's going to be people that aren't going to just jump on, and then there's some people are going to jump into it, embracing the metaverse. Though the headset, I will say that I have no experience with the headset, nor would I ever jump into the XR headset. Maybe VR, yes, I will use it and try it out for gaming. And believe it or not, I did at one point. I did try to try out VR headsets or VR gaming in TwitchCon 2016, which I tried. I tried to wait in line for God knows how long. Like, how long did I wait in line? I waited for about more than 10 minutes, and I ended up leaving the line on TwitchCon 2013. But God, that line was full. It was for a VR game for SpongeBob, which it would have been fun to try it out and see the demonstration of what they've done. But I don't know. It's a very different concept, and I think not like if so going back into it to Meta, like just what I was just mentioning, like it's a very different concept. It's like there's not going to be many people going to embrace it overnight. And if people do, I mean, that's cool. Good on everybody for jumping into it too. But Meta does leave me to a lot of questions, especially for data and privacy concerns as well. Like how are they doing this, and how can they do this? Like especially like that too. Are they gonna just jump into tracking more data, which I obviously think they will, because that's what Facebook that's how Facebook makes its money, of course. And for me, that's where I see Facebook how they are profiting out of people for using not just their social media site Facebook, obviously, but for Meta, for the Meta XR headset. So that's where that gives me a lot of questions about how that's gonna work. So regardless, but we'll see over time. And you mentioned last thing about Meta, since I know I'm going over Meta very long, which to me, I know I am just going on and rambling onto it too, but I'll definitely make it short about this too. The last thing that's in mind right as of right now too, which right now we've now experienced two scandals this year with Facebook, and I'm sure there's been plenty of scandals I missed with Facebook, and I'm sure that's not gonna go away. And about Frances Hagen, that she came out last a couple months back on the on Facebook what is doing to people's mental health, and Facebook knows what they're doing deliberately, and this is something that is quite disturbing. Very very disturbing what's been going on. And I think Facebook as a platform, I would even think it should not be used anymore. That's one reason I left the platform, because of what they've been doing and how manipulative they've really become. Even though while I didn't predict this about the mental health the state of mental health, which something that wasn't across my mind a few years ago. But I know that this is going to be psychological damage, and in so much that Facebook hasn't even addressed. And then also there was a whistleblower. I don't even know his name on top of my mind, but I did watch the whole interview, and the way he described it is so disturbing. And I will give you a warning. I will say is that you are warned if you watch this, and the way the this former Facebook moderator bring this up to light, and I think it's such a heavy and dark a dark thing that he brings up on Patrick David's show, and God, goodness gracious, and it just makes me wonder how screwed up or fucked that it's really become, where how come they haven't even brought up these dark things into their platform into light, especially with all the crimes, the animal abuses, and stuff that I don't even want to describe, And trust me, I'm trying to make this podcast as PG-13 as I can, but my goodness gracious, sexual abuse that people post publicly on the platform, and then they never do anything about it too. So that's one of the scandals. In fact, it's not just a big scandal, but that's been something that's been going around Facebook. And yet again, the moderator, in the way this moderator describes his job, is very engrossing, and it's just not the best job. It is not the best job for anybody. And I can see why, from his point of view, how bad it is. It's just how disgusting, and how it can just torment one's mind, having to go through images and videos of other people's profiles. And it is one thing that if there's one thing I don't want to take a job, then that's a job I will not take as a Facebook moderator. That tells you something right there. Something right there. But regardless, like I've said, we'll find out more what's Facebook's thing, that what you call it, thing with the whole metaverse, and more of its development. But the last note I will end up putting down is Facebook metaverse will take time to develop, and I'm sure that with the billions of dollars that they make all the time, I'm sure that this development will end up coming so much sooner in my lifetime than anyone will think. Much, much sooner. So, anyways, we're going to go ahead and jump right into the next topic. So, on the next topic, I want to just go and briefly mention a product that's been on my mind, and something that it is pretty much Apple related this time. Not going to mention too much about it, but as far as official story, this is not much of an official story. But AirTag, however, is something that's on my mind. Something I pretty much now very heavily investing on other Facebook, Apple products. That's something I wanted to keep up with, and I think the Apple ecosystem is such a echo chamber of products, where once you purchase something with Apple, it's just like, well, anybody can, But I was looking over at AirTags, and I discovered it through someone's channel, on someone's YouTube channel, and I thought, oh, that looks pretty awesome. And the first thing that came to mind when I've looked up for the very, very first time on AirTags. Now, first of all, I wondered how reliable it is, and I wanted to see how good it is on people's perspective, especially anyone that uses AirTag if they're trying to look for a purse, a wallet, a bicycle, or anything that can be easily lost or stolen. And AirTag was something that was just on my mind, and for me, it is pretty cool, I would say. And so for this Christmas, it looks like I'm gonna be going on in and getting an AirTag for my friend. But however, another friend of mine, we've talked about doing a Secret Santa exchange, where basically we're just exchanging presents. So I'm going to get him a desktop monitor, while he's going to purchase me an AirTag, which I thought that's pretty cool to get just get an AirTag coming out from one of my best friends I know for over a decade. So that's awesome that I'll be trying out the AirTag and using that for the first time. And of course, I don't just have to just use my iPhone to track things down, but I can use my MacBook to do that as well, which I thought it's still pretty neat to do it, to trace almost anything, of course. So it's just an amazing tool, and I thought I might as well just bring it up while I'm on a different subject right here too. And to me, I just can't wait to try out the AirTags. And even though it's not like the most revolutionary device, since I know there's other item finders, something similar like that, but to me, that part of it right there is just feels neat to me. For this Christmas, it's only going to be just one AirTag, but however, the if you get four AirTags in a bundle, that's like $100. While it isn't bad at all, for the price of $100 for four AirTags, it is still a pricey item just to get four. But again, I figured I'll just try one and see how it is for me. Which for me, I'll most likely will probably use it on for my keys, since I am notoriously bad at losing my keys all the time. It's something I figured out. Well, let me just try it on my keys, and if it works well, I'll just go ahead and get another one to track my laptop or a laptop bag for sure. Which that's something I would most easily do that for. Which I said, oh, that's an easy thing to put on, and then I'll probably put the third AirTag on my bicycle for my mountain bike, which I would definitely do it too, for any reason whatsoever. Any reason if I have to go and get find my mountain bike if I lose it or what, right? Something that'd be useful. God, if only that AirTag was around years ago. For some reason, I felt that this is nothing new, but I almost felt that again, this is something that Apple, in my opinion, was late to the game, and this is a product that should have been out sooner. So soon. And last and not least, we're gonna get into the secret that I've been holding on for months, and boy, oh boy, it is time to reveal it now, and it looks like this is pretty much a good time than any other time there in my life, which I have to say this was worth holding in, but now it's time to let it go. So I know me and a friend, we were talking about doing a road trip last year, or I would say about, was it last year? Something around no, something around early this year, early this year, something like that too. And we were talking about going to take a road trip up to San Francisco because my friend has ordered a Tesla Model S. So what does that mean? And I'll let you know that means that I am going to go and try, or actually ride with him on the Tesla Model S coming up this week. So you heard it right, the Model S. And I know this week, or at least early this week, I am going to have to look into a good vlogging camera, something I can use for vlogs. And for me, would be a good time than any other time to have a vlogging camera for content creation, all that too. So that way the space doesn't take up on my iPhone. Figured why not? I might as well find a good, inexpensive vlogging camera for good purposes like this. And I said this is going to be an awesome time, and Black Friday is definitely coming up, so I could definitely take take a chance on that as well. So might as well. And that's going to be a good reason to say, hey, I am going to go ahead and get a vlogging camera, find a good one, and get a good use out of my travels. But however, we aren't going to go to San Francisco, unfortunately, because my friend did receive a notification about over 3 weeks ago, and so it looks like more likely that they've raised the Model S up over to the Decatur dealer, or actually soon to be going to the Decatur dealer, which once my friend knows about the news and when it is a time to pick it up, I'm gonna go with him the first thing I hear about the news and go and get the Tesla right off the Tesla dealership over in Decatur, Georgia. So you heard that right, which I am going to go up there with him, Uber or Lyft up over there too. So I'm very excited. My friend has been emailing me these instructional videos on Tesla's website and how to use Tesla, which I'm very excited on using it myself. He is going to let me drive it a bit as well, which and give it a spin, which I think it'll be great to try it out and how it feels, which is very much of a nice opportunity, which a full on electric car, which for me that blows the competition away from any dealer like Ford, GM, Toyota, Nissan, Honda, you name it. In fact, these dealers, they are still using the ICE, the internal combustible engine, which right there, it just shows how dated these companies are, still using the same model with the internal combustible engine that they've been using for now over 100 years, now. And it just tells you that how out of touch they've been going through. They're just out of touch, really, in general, that they're not keeping up with the times. And even especially like this week, if I can find the news correctly, I think that the Tesla has now, it's now official that Tesla is now over $1 trillion, and it's a company that's been around for 18 years. So think about it right there too. 18 years as a company, now over $1 trillion. I mean, how wild is that for a company that was just small 18 years ago, and it's now worth $1 trillion. And I couldn't believe how fast this company has grown and how much it's pretty much brought in people to even get into the Tesla bandwagon. It's just incredible because I know a friend that I've known for now about, geez, I would say about a good almost close to a decade. Yeah, close to a decade. And he said that this is probably going to be his last and final product that he'll end up just using. And plus, he's been saving his money for his entire life when he was holding it up for investments and stocks, all that right there that he's held for so long. And very honestly, though, I think that's cool that he's just using it so he can use it to get the Tesla, which I mean it's great, and he can have a vehicle to try it out, and he's giving me the opportunity to give that spin, which I think it's awesome. Not just the passenger point of view, but the driver's point of view too, just to give it a try. And this is one thing I'm very happy because I never tried a full-on electrical car, and I think it's gonna be worth it, in my opinion too. Because even heck, I don't even know any other company that has made it up to over $1 trillion this quick. It isn't just because of just the Tesla brand, but Elon Musk knows how to bring people, knows how to bring attention to eyeballs and readers up on Twitter. So that's not just the Tesla brand alone. I mean, you gotta understand that uh, Elon Musk is the face of Tesla, a car company that has grown tremendously fast and has like tons of different ideas. What I understand, he has SpaceX. Then the other project he has is Neuralink. Again, so much that he has going on too. And then also Tesla's not just on the on the whole car thing going on too. It's not just cars, but he has the solar, what do you call, the solar energy that they're producing or are actually currently in the works right now, produce in making solar panels, which I think it's super amazing. Just even to hear that as well. And then other projects like a Tesla bot that's coming up somewhere in the near future. And that could be much sooner than anybody think. A bot that can assist you with cleaning, doing grocery shopping for you, all that interesting things, which I didn't even think that this would ever come. Like when I think about bots, I would think about bots in Asia, like in Japan of all places. But my God, it is such a world that we're living in, that in a very fast state that, hey, now anybody can just go and get have a bot. We're going to be close to that too. But Tesla brand is pretty awesome and interesting. After he's been talking about it, I remember about over a year and a half ago, I didn't have Tesla on my radar, but now it just gave pretty much gives me such wonders seeing about you going out with my friend and going to the Tesla dealer in Decatur, Georgia, just picking it up right from there too. So I know he said that he's gonna be hearing them very soon. He's already got the Tesla supercharger installed in his garage, so I can't wait to see that along the way. So it's gonna be freaking sweet, and I know a lot of my listeners are gonna be very, very jealous. And for those that don't believe me, like I've said, I'm gonna have everything filmed, so I will have a good portable camera film this out so you guys can see the vehicle, all its features, all that I'm going to be reviewing and trying out on the go. Because I know there are so many Tesla people that are and pretty much right now Tesla it's just a big thing on YouTube right now. So if you want to look up Tesla videos, they're pretty hot on the YouTube category right now too, because a lot of people are getting in on the Tesla action as of right now, because it is a hot deal. And if you guys don't believe me, go up to YouTube, and Tesla is pretty much the hottest search right now too. Not just Nikola Tesla, but the Tesla brand. And very honestly though, I think this is going to be the car of the future. Not a car of the future, but the car of the future. I mean, this is a brand name that's going to just go out and blow people away. And for me, I've had this plan months ago, and I've even said, even on another podcast, if I was interested about riding in a Tesla, and I said I would, but that dream is going to definitely become a reality pretty soon, and will say that I will be very happy once that time comes, and once I hear the word, and when my friend says, Luke or Leon, let's get in. So that would be super, super awesome, just to give the Tesla a try, all its unique features. But the Tesla S, just to give you a few notes, a few good notes, is that the Tesla, it will it's not self-driving as of yet. What I understand with uh, it's not self-driving yet, but they're still working on it too, with future patches to come, future updates on OTA, over the air. So that's what I've understand with the over the air technology, which and of course you would have to update near a Wi-Fi station or the Wi-Fi on your own home. So that's how it's going to get its updates from that point too. So um if you're planning on doing an update on the road, I know the road having to do updates on the road, I know it's not going to be the safest thing, because I know any device that you end up giving updates will probably not be the safest thing. Like, it's like updating a computer or a PC. You have to give it updates all the time, and in order for those updates to apply, you have to reset your PC or reset your Mac in order for the updates to apply. Simple and pretty much the same concept, really. So with an electrical car, the Model S is a sports car. So, and I heard that it is a very fast car, pretty much beating Lamborghini in the Ferrari's speed tests. So that's a really cool thing to hear about that. It is one of the most fastest cars out there right now too. While it is not as pricey compared to the Ferraris or the Porsche, I don't even think the Porsche are that expensive of a car, but they are still pretty pricey too. But I will go on and say that Tesla, it is now, like I've said, now Tesla is in my radar. I'm definitely going to try it out. Try it out once I hear the notification from my friend, and then we can Uber and pretty much Uber or Lyft up to Decatur. But we are definitely going to go ahead and do that while there's no traffic up there. Probably we're going to end up going up to the Tesla dealership probably around early, or it's not early morning, but I would say about mid morning when traffic has died down, all that. So, which to me that would work out for the best, really, and just see what we can do, because I'm, like I said, it is a very exciting thing to just get it onto a full on electrical vehicle, and that pretty much beats any hybrid like the Toyota or the Nissan's hybrids that's been out, and which the hybrids haven't even lasted as long, and the electrical battery is not well. And then if you look at the electricity on those Teslas, it's pretty much all electrical, no gas, no oil suspension, nothing, zip, nada. Which, that's perfect for a vehicle like that too. Not having to change the brake fluids, the what do you call it, do an oil change on that too. And to me, the Tesla is such a different vehicle. I mean, it doesn't need all that liquid and gas and oil changes, nor nothing like that too. Which definitely, if you compare the price of a car, of a regular car, you have to do that too. And the other thing I think about Teslas, I think when I heard so much right now about Teslas, if I got my facts correctly, Tesla is now it's now high on the stock market. If I look up Tesla, let me just go ahead and do a go search and click on enter and type in TSLA stock price. And what does that tell me? It is up $1,109 up on the stock market, on the Nasdaq. So that tells you something right there, that it is the most highly valued company out there. Hey, if I knew that Tesla was gonna go out becoming so big so fast, I would have purchased Tesla during the early days, knowing that if this was going to become a successful company, a successful electric car company, beating all the prices right onto anyone right there too. And if I were to do a search, like let's say Ford stock price, in let's do that in comparison with Tesla, how much is it? $20.20. That is nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to what the Tesla can do. I mean, God, it is insane, and the valuation of the prices right there too. My God, such an amazing company that has grown so fast within 18 years. And even Apple didn't make it up to $1 trillion. It took Apple 42 years to make it as over $1 trillion company, or valued as $1 trillion company. So, gosh, and that tells you something right there too, that if you can make something that people can buy into, that is awesome. And so, anyways, that's the big secret that I had to reveal, and something I'm not going to keep anymore, because this is going to go out big, and I love this little trip that I have going on right there. Sadly, it's not a San Francisco trip from Atlanta, Georgia to San Francisco, but you know what? I guess this works out for the better, right? You know, this would have been cool to do a full-on U.S. trip. Very honestly, I would have digged into picking it up over on the Fremont Tesla factory right there and then, but I'm kind of sad, but I guess it works out kind of for the better, I guess. But either way, we're going to go ahead and put this podcast on a close. Guys, what do you think about the metaverse or Facebook on the name change of Meta? What you guys think about their new thing with Meta? What do you think about AirTag? Do you have one? If so, let me know over on the comments down below, which I will have this podcast uploaded on YouTube pretty much a day after. So guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. And also, what do you think about Teslas? Do you plan on owning one in the future yourselves? If so, let me know. And as well, I'd love to hear all of your guys' thoughts on Tesla, and if you think that it is worth the money, worth saving up, let me know too, because I know that getting a Tesla right now is like the hardest thing to get right now, because they have so much back orders. And if I have to say a car for me that'll be next in line, it would be the Tesla. I think so too. That's just me. That's something I would own myself. So either way, we're closing this podcast because we're going to go over to an hour. So anyways, guys, thanks again for listening to the Leon LeGray podcast, episode 170. And oh my God, it is good to be back recording another episode. Guys, thank you so much. And I hope to hear from you again soon. Take care and ciao. All right, everybody. This is it for this week's episode of the Leon LeGray podcast show. All your tech and news source of each week. Everybody, if you want to hear more on my podcast each and every week, please subscribe to me of the podcast services of your choice, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and also I'm available on iHeartRadio. So check me up from there. And I am pretty much available anywhere else. So with that said, everybody, enjoy your day, night, wherever you are. Take care and talk to you real soon.